Hello my friends, my name is Rich and welcome to Greatest Rock and Metal. On Greatest Rock and Metal I talk about what are for me the greatest rock albums, bands, gigs of all time, based on listening to thousands of albums and going to hundreds of gigs over many years. Please press the red button to subscribe to the channel. It's free and it's easy to do and it won't take you very long. Thank you very much. Today it is another anniversary celebration video. We're looking back at the 30th anniversary of this fantastic album from the band Soundgarden. This is Badmotorfinger. 24th of September 1991 this album was released, and wow, what a date in the calendar that happened to be. Also on this day 30 years ago we had Nirvana's Nevermind and the Red Hot Chili Peppers' Blood, Sugar, Sex, Magic albums all on the same day, and you can look at other videos that relate to those, because today we're looking at Soundgarden. My introduction to Soundgarden came with this album, and it was hearing the lead song from it, Outshined, and seeing the video for the song Outshined. I hadn't heard of Soundgarden up to that point, and so I had to check them out because I really liked that song. And when I checked them out, I found out a little bit of history about them, that they were formed in 1984, so a long time really before this album appeared. They were formed in the Seattle area of the USA, and they became part of this Seattle scene of music at this time, with Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Mudhoney, and various other bands. And the initial members were Chris Cornell, Kim Thale, Hiro Yamamoto, if I said that correctly, and Matt Cameron. And they were later, Hiro later left and were joined by Ben Shepherd for this particular album. Debut album came with Ultra Mega OK in 1988, and that was followed in 1989 by the Louder in Love album, and really didn't do a huge amount for them. Certainly the Louder in Love album was very much almost a Led Zeppelin parody. A very strong album, by the way, really good album. But it, apart from those in the know, it didn't commercially do a huge amount for them. It wasn't until this brilliant one that things really kicked off in 1991. And they had reasonable success with the Badmotorfinger album, and they changed their sound quite a lot as well. It became much heavier, doomier, slower songs, and much better songs than they had on Louder Than Love. Their next album, Super Unknown, in '94, took them supersonic. They had a massive hit on that album with the song Black Hole Sun, and that was a very successful album for them and took them to the peak of their career. But then it started to all go wrong. They had one more album down on the upside, and by 1997 it was all over. So not that long since they'd actually got the success, the band was over, and they said it was that success that had a major part in leading to the breakup of the band, as they couldn't deal efficiently with the business side. And interestingly, even today, after the death of Chris Cornell, which I'll come on to in a minute, they still have a lot of problems on the business side of the band. So for a long time they stayed apart, but then in 2011 they reunited and produced a new studio album, King Animal, in 2012. and they continued to tour on and off. Now by this stage Chris Cornell had created quite a solo career for himself. Matt Cameron had got himself a second job as the drummer for Pearl Jam, which he'd been doing for quite a while, and he now did double duties for those bands, and they continued playing until, sadly, in May 2017, while on tour, Chris Cornell took his life after one of their gigs. And you only need to look back through the lyrics of Soundgarden albums to see that Chris Cornell, who was the main songwriter, had battled demons pretty much his whole life, and a lot of the songs which he'd created and got great success with were real insights into his mental difficulties. So there you have it. That's a bit of a history of Pearl Jam. So what about this album? So 24th of September 1991, this is produced, and the producer on the album, a guy by the name of Terry Date, who'd worked on Louder Than Love and also worked with Pantera and Metal Church. And Terry Date is very much seen as a metal producer, and there's a real heavy metal sound to this album. For me, and I've mentioned this before, I don't really know why this term grunge came along and had as the big four: Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. Because for me the four bands were very, very different in sounds at this point. Alice in Chains and Soundgarden were what I would call the true heavy metal bands. Then you had Nirvana, who were more like a pop punk band at this point, and then you had Pearl Jam in the classic rock vein. So the big heavy metal monster of an album, Badmotorfinger. This is a bad mother of a release. This is an anniversary release that was done for the 25th anniversary. It's got a I don't know what you call these. Oh, lenticular, that's the word. A lenticular cover, which a bit of a gimmick. I don't think they're that great, to be honest. And you could take this off and you got the real cover there. There's the back of the album, and it's been done as a gatefold because now it's been put across two vinyls, and inside you just have lyric sheet and credits. In fact, it says on here on the credits 25th anniversary edition. And what makes this so different from the norm is this is pressed on coloured vinyl that kind of replicates the album cover to a certain extent. You have one of the albums is a purpley marble effect, which then when you flip it over, on one side you have what we call an etched vinyl, which you don't play it obviously. For those of you who don't have never been into vinyl or not into it more recently, where they do this etch things, it's just a way of filling up the vinyl when you don't need all four sides, and it looks pretty cool actually. It's just the logo of the Badmotor, or the Badmotorfinger logo. And then whoops, and then the other vinyl is more of a red and black vinyl effect with a nice custom label in the middle actually. So there you have it. That's the 25th anniversary vinyl of this great metal album. So while I put this away, let's take a little look at rock albums by the pool. So what are my favourite four from this album? Well, it starts with the song I mentioned earlier, Outshined. It was the lead-off single track for the album and the song that got me into the band. It's like Black Sabbath on steroids. You've got a big, heavy riff, very catchy chorus, Robert Plant style vocals, and how can you go wrong when you're combining two of the greats of rock and metal, when you've got the Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin kind of combo that is outshined, and the classic lyric of "I'm looking California and feeling Minnesota, oh yeah." Or as I say, I'm looking Robert Plant and feeling Ozzy Osbourne. I don't mean feeling as in feeling, I mean how I'm feeling. Out of it. Big headache. Great track, and it's the second track on the album. Again, I can't stress enough, this is a great riff on this song. The next track I will choose is the song that closely follows Outshined, and it is Slaves and Bulldozers. Kim Thales, the guitarist, tour de force this one for me. He strangles all sorts of weird and wonderful sound from his guitar, and it's another Sabbath-style riff. Cornell's vocals here are just absolutely incredible. You can feel the emotion in his screams. Now I know why you've been shaking! Wow, great track, great track. Always love to see this track live, or used to anyway. And the next one is the next track that's up here. The first side of this album is absolutely stunning, it really is. And the next track is Jesus Christ Pose. What can be said about Jesus Christ Pose? This still today is one of the most unique songs I'd ever heard. I'll never forget, the first time I heard it, I thought I kind of heard the track halfway through. I thought somehow the album had skipped, because it really sounds like you're joining a track that's already on its way, halfway through almost. It was like, what the fuck is this? I never heard anything like this before at all. Great song. It's got this fast, frantic rhythm to it, crazy guitar riff, and then of course you've got the massive Cornell vocals. Very unique song, very clever song. Really love it. And then I'll go forward a few tracks to my fourth favourite, Searching with My Good Eye Closed. Another brilliant, I mean, this is an album just chock full of brilliant tracks. It's tough to choose four here when I'm leaving off the likes of Rusty Cage or Room 1,000 Years Wide, New Damage, Drawing Flies. There's some more great tracks. But Searching with My Good Eye Closed. This starts almost psychedelic with all sorts of weird noises going on. I think there's even some kind of chicken in there or something. I don't know. It's a great live opener for a live set. Got another one of these big doomy riffs. Cornell's vocals really shine on this track, and the song itself. The reason I say it's such a great opener, it just continually builds and builds to this monumental climax to the song with Cornell screaming over a Kim Thales solo. Great work. Just brilliant album. In fact, I've not mentioned them at all, but really great props to Ben Shepherd, the bass player, and Matt Cameron, the drums. The rhythm work on this album is absolutely superb, as is all the musicianship and the vocals on it. Very good album. For me, this is my number one Soundgarden album. I know Super Unknown gets all the plaudits, but this is the top one for me. So, what about seeing them live? Well, the first time I got to see Soundgarden live was as part of the Badmotorfinger tour. But it was actually the support band, and they were first support band at this monumental gig at Wembley Stadium, June 1992. and Guns N' Roses were the headliners, as you saw on the tickets, touring in support of the Use Your Illusion albums that had been released 30 years ago as well, just the week before this one. And Soundgarden were first out there, and I gotta be honest, it was tough for them. It was really tough for them. At this stage in Guns N' Roses' career, they were absolutely huge. Obviously, they played Wembley Stadium, and although the crowd was full of the big die-hard Guns N' Roses fans, by this time they'd got the popular fans as well because of their big hit singles that they'd had. So a band like Soundgarden opening the show, everyone was like, what the fuck is this? It really did not fit in with the atmosphere of that day, and they had a tough time. And even for me, who was a fan of Soundgarden by this time, I found it tough for them. They played great, as they always do, but when you're on like a festival type show and you're the first band on, you don't have the full power of the PA, and Soundgarden sound needs that full on power of the PA, and they sounded a little bit weak. They didn't have the oomph that they needed for the big strong metal that they were bringing. The set list was exclusively from this album, so they opened with Searching with My Good Eye Closed, and we also got the big tracks Rusty Cage, Outshine, Jesus Christ Posed. They're all played, and it was just hard work for them, and not helped also by the fact that Chris Cornell, although a great singer and a great guitarist and a great songwriter, was not a particularly great frontman. He wasn't very good at engaging with the crowd. He was almost that term shoegazer that got associated with the grunge scene at this particular time. So they had a tough day, and it wasn't Soundgarden at their best for me. Fortunately, I got to see them perform much better in the future. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on Soundgarden. And let's celebrate today, the 30th anniversary of Badmotorfinger. Thank you very much for watching. Please press the red button to subscribe to the channel. And remember, as always, we rock!